In the previous lesson, we made an API request and we received the response in JSON. And what is JSON? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It is probably the most popular data format on the internet today. All the most important programming languages like Java, Python, C#, JavaScript, PHP, and so on can work with JSON. And what is this object notation from JavaScript? Actually, a JavaScript object is the same thing as a Python dictionary. It could also be a list, but normally we will work with a dictionary-like object. So as we can see, the response is a list of key-value pairs. So we have the first key, which is the response code, and then we have another key, which is the results key, and associated to this key, we have a list. This list only has one element, which is a dictionary. So we have the category of the question, the type, the difficulty, we have the question itself, the correct answer, and the incorrect answers. Now let's copy this URL and let's get it in Python by sending an HTTP request. So import requests So by the status code, we can see that our request has been sent successfully. Now let's print the text, which is exactly the same thing we were seeing in our web browser. Now let's get the type of this response. And as you can see, this is a string. So JSON is an object converted into a string. And because almost all programming languages have the string data type, we can work with JSON with all of them. All we need to do is parse the string. For that, we're going to use an internal module in Python called JSON. So import JSON. Now let's create a variable called question, and let's use a method of the JSON module called loads, which is going to convert from JSON or string into a Python dictionary. So let's get the r.text and convert it into a dictionary. Now if we print the question, it seems to be the same thing, but if we get the type of it now, it's now a dictionary. This is still a bit hard to read, so we could go back to the browser and use JSON view to understand this object before we use it. But remember I told you that for pretty much anything we want to do in Python, there will be an external module to help us. In this case, there is one called pprint that will print an object in a readable way. So I'm just going to type pip install pprint in the command line. Now you can import pprint and use pprint.pprint and the dictionary you want to print, which in this case is inside the question variable. Now this is way easier for us to read. We can get specific values. So how could we get the category, for example? We could type question, and now we can see that question is a dictionary. So what we want is inside the results key. So question results. Results is a list. We can see by the braces. So what we want is inside the first element, which is the index 0. And now we just want the category key. So this way we just got the category. We could do the same thing for the incorrect answers, for example. And we would have the list back. Now it's up to our creativity how we're going to present the question to the user and check if the answer is correct. And this is going to be our next exercise. But before we finish, let me just show you how you can convert a Python dictionary to JSON. So let's create a quick dictionary called person. Just gonna make a key called name. And one called age. Now I'm going to create a variable called person.json, just so I can store this dictionary in JSON format. And for that, I'm going to use a function called dumps, which is going to do the opposite of what we just did. So json.dumps, and here we pass the dictionary or list or any value we want to convert into JSON. Now we have it in JSON. So if we get the type, we will see that this is a string. So it is our dictionary converted into a string. Alright, so this was all for this lesson. I'll see you in the next video.